Tropical Storm Chantal has made landfall this morning near Myrtle Beach with max sustained winds at 50 miles per hour. That is weakening now as it's moved inland. Still plenty of convection firing along the core, which is a rather robust core, and you can see the bright colors here in the cloud tops, the infrared satellite picture showing up very, very nicely. And we're seeing plenty of rain falling out from under these clouds, folks. We've got quite a bit of weather to get into. We're going to rapid fire it this morning. We're going to start here with tropical update, and then we're going to look at the severe weather and tell you what to expect over the next couple of days with regard to that. But looking here at the storm system this morning, it is, as I said, moving inland. It is weakening. Taking a look at the radar, you can actually see how that's kind of wrapped up this morning and bringing heavy rain from Longs up here into Tabor City, all the way up into Whiteville. Lumberton getting in on the action. Fayetteville has seen some rain this morning. We're going to continue to see this rain push on off to the north and to the west, impacting folks in the Sand Hills and the Triangle area as we go on through the morning. Plenty of rain is going to fall out from under this too. There's a little bit of model discrepancy. I've looked at several of the short range models. The National Hurricane Track takes a center track, takes it kind of up like this and back into that general direction. We'll look at the exact track in a minute, but along that track is where we'll find the heaviest rain. And to the right of that track, would not surprise me to see a spin up, a quick tornado spin up or two. Should be pretty weak if it does, but still a tornado is a tornado, and we got to be very careful about that. So right along in this area, eastern sections, Jacksonville down to here toward back toward the Myrtle Beach area. That's where we're looking at the biggest tornado threat. It's very, very small though, so we're not looking at a widespread event here, but just when these tropical systems make landfall, just to the right of that track is where you find the heaviest weather, and you usually find the environment capable of supporting tornadoes. Now, if we look at the actual predicted radar from the HRRR model this morning, it has a good handle on the precipitation that's out there right now. So I think it's probably the best one to look at when it comes to what it thinks the radar is going to look like later as we progress through the morning hours. And certainly the NAM has the farthest left track of the core, bringing the precipitation back farther west into the Charlotte corridor, and the rapid refresh is kind of in the middle between the HRR, which seems to be the farthest east of the short range models. But look here. Put this on into motion. We get on out here into mid-morning, plenty of rain all the way, a big feeder band coming in through eastern North Carolina, and looking at rainfall down here in the Sand Hills, really picking up toward the Triangle as we get on in toward noon, and that rain spreads on in. The core is right here, just to the east of Fayetteville, or the west of Fayetteville rather, and it is moving due north, and look at that. You can see everything start to come into play this afternoon. Big, heavy rains really around the core. Still plenty of rains from the feeder band over in eastern North Carolina, and then we get on into the afternoon hours toward evening. Still raining heavily back here from Raleigh west back into Chapel Hill, Durham, and on into the Triad area, Burlington, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and places like that, moving into Virginia as well. And that just slowly progresses east through the evening and early overnight hours, and we start to see it finally begin to move with an easterly component as we get on into the overnight hours. And this model is still going at this particular time, but putting this into perspective here, we're looking at maybe as much as 5-6 inches of rain in spots, according to the model. Now, there are flash flood watches that are up in this area too for several inches of rain. So we'll see how that goes, and the exact track will determine this. So it's kind of a tough forecast for places like Charlotte and through the I-77 corridor, probably cutting off where the main precipitation is going to fall. Now, as I said, the NAM has this back farther to the west, and so Charlotte, you get in on the action, have plenty of rain back for you if the NAM is right, but it's looking more and more like the heaviest rain will be to the east, and it will set up somewhere between the Triangle and the Triad area with batches of showers, accumulating rain back toward the east, maybe around an inch or two. But looking at a widespread 2 to 4 inches of rain if this track takes place. Checking out the winds, not a lot to really speak of in terms of major impacts. Certainly could see a few sporadic power outages with winds gusting into the 30s along the South Carolina, North Carolina border back into the Sand Hills. That will abate as the evening goes on. This is an accumulation of wind over time, so what I'm showing you here doesn't, the colors just sort of accumulate, but you can see where the strongest winds will be back in the Triad and Triangle areas. Maybe see gusts to 30 this afternoon. That'll die out as we get into the overnight hours. And there's your official track. This the Hurricane Center has it this morning going up right through the triangle area back up into central and eastern Virginia as we get on into Monday afternoon. So all the rain will be gone from North Carolina resulting from this system as we get into the overnight hours, and things will be clearing out tomorrow. But a very cloudy day for much of North Carolina. It's bright and sunny here in Morganton, and I expect it to stay that way for much of the day with some clouds creeping in later today. That's your tropical update. And now we've got severe weather to talk about because we've got a couple of areas that we're focused on this afternoon for tornadoes, strong winds potentially exceeding 70 miles per hour, and large hail, maybe over 2 inches in diameter. And here's the surface map. We've got a boundary that's set up kind of west to east from California all the way in through the Front Range of the Rockies here, where a lee trough is set up, and that will be basically becoming more well-defined through the day. And then we've got another trough with a couple of little waves of low pressure up through the Great Lakes, extending up through there. And then there's our tropical storm bringing heavy rain down into North Carolina. We're not going to forget about folks in Texas. There's still rain down there, plenty of flooding going on as we speak. Rain concentration has abated compared to what it was yesterday, so we're not seeing as much in the way of flooding. But anywhere from the plains through the southeast and up into the northeast could see scattered showers and thunderstorms today, very widely scattered to isolated down here in the southeast, with maybe the exception of Florida. Tomorrow, much the same pattern. That front is progressing through the lake, so out long and ahead of this front, we should see showers, we should see thunderstorms out ahead of this in from Pennsylvania to Ohio, southern Indiana into Kentucky, southern Missouri tomorrow. That's where our best concentration of showers will be, out here in the Appalachian or the Cumberland Plateau back into the Ozarks and Southern Plains. But here up in the mid-plains, we'll find from Kansas, basically from Kansas all the way up into South Dakota, we're going to see an elevated threat of severe weather tomorrow. As a matter of fact, the Storm Prediction Center shows today we've got a slight risk up for Cheyenne, just east of Denver, back over into McCode, Colby, Garden City, down to Liberal. That's where the biggest concentration of thunderstorms is going to be. That's going to produce the most severe weather. Around that, from Casper down here to Lubbock, that's where we're going to see potentially a slight risk, and then a couple of more waves of energy up in Maine, up in the Great Lakes, southern Great Lakes, and then of course over here in eastern North Carolina, we could find tropical system impacting severe weather in terms of maybe a quick spin up of tornadoes. But certainly wouldn't surprise me to see a couple of isolated reports of large hail and damaging winds. But really, we're looking at the Central Plains, and then again tomorrow, pretty much the same areas, but we have an enhanced risk. So we're going to see a much greater chance of an MCS form tomorrow. Somebody's asked me what an MCS was. I had a couple of questions about that. It is a mesoscale convective system, which means a cluster of showers and thunderstorms that are organized, that moves over a wide area, producing wind damage, organizing those outflows, producing wind damage. That's what we're seeing this afternoon potentially, and even a stronger signal for that tomorrow here in Nebraska between Valentine and down here toward just east of Denver, northwest of Colby. That could happen tomorrow evening. And so supercells will develop this afternoon in a strongly unstable environment. If we take a look here at the instability for this afternoon, working up into Nebraska, Kansas, down here into Oklahoma, you're really seeing that strong instability come into play. Again, tomorrow afternoon, as we get on into the evening hours, you really see it pop up tomorrow afternoon and into the evening, and then it will diminish as the thunderstorms sort of eat that up and we get into nighttime and we lose the heating of the day. So plenty of instability for thunderstorms to work with. The upper level flow contains lots of little pockets of energy. You can see this kind of anticyclone setting up down here. I'll draw it for you so you can see it a little bit better, but it's in here in this circle where there's no colors, and the flow around it is clockwise like this, and you can see these little pockets of energy, like these little blue areas showing up. That's pockets of energy in the flow. These act to enhance, it just provide wind energy and upper level support for thunderstorms, so it enhances the activity, works on the instability. So if you have the focus for thunderstorms at the surface, you can see some enhancement from this as we go through the afternoon. Look at this. Bright colors or bright blue showing up here over our threat area this afternoon. That will persist into tomorrow. It gets even a little bit bigger over the plains tomorrow as we get through tomorrow afternoon. And so that will shift on in, and you'll see pockets of energy rotating around this ridge out here in the west all through the week. So we're going to see severe weather chances exist as we go on throughout the week. Looking at the radar this afternoon, we'll put this into motion, looking as we get on into about noontime Local time, we don't see a lot going on, not a lot of activity out here. Still some activity down in Texas with the remnants of Barry still lurking down there. So you'll see thunderstorms pop up down here in your neck of the woods. So be careful, pay attention if flood warnings are issued down here. But as we get on into the later afternoon and toward evening, maybe 7, 8 o'clock, we start to see supercells pop up. They'll form rapidly. There's a tornado threat, a 2% chance of tornadoes down here. Big threat of wind and hail is the more likely threat as these storms begin to merge. You see this as we get on into about 8, 9 o'clock. We start to see storms merge together, form this little line segment. You can kind of see it bowing out here. That's what the MCS is. That's what I mean when I say that. And you see that kind of bow out and move on through Nebraska and Kansas. It'll peter out overnight, and then we'll repeat, wash, rinse, repeat tomorrow. We get into tomorrow late afternoon. Thunderstorms developing out here in Colorado, in Nebraska and Wyoming. Already have a line of thunderstorms moving through Minnesota and into South Dakota, so could see a few severe reports up here as well. Plenty of scattered showers and thunderstorms breaking out through the southeast, but you can see another MCS moving through, getting its act together, moving through. This one may have a little bit more of a duration to it. You see how it's kind of longer in duration into the evening hours before it starts to weaken and diminish as well. So everything will diminish by Tuesday morning, but we could see this bow echo move right across Nebraska and into Kansas, enhancing that wind threat tomorrow. See gusts maybe over 80 miles per hour tomorrow. So take that seriously, folks. Pay attention to your local forecast. I'm sure that as we get through the afternoon, we'll see severe thunderstorm watches issued, maybe a tornado watch if conditions are right. The lee trough and the low-level jet, particularly tomorrow, will provide enough low-level spin that will keep the chance of tornadoes in with any discrete supercells that move through. And here's the general precipitation map. As we go through the afternoon, we see showers and thunderstorms all the way up and down the central plains, northern plains, a few scattered showers and storms up through the west, an association. Let's go back. I'm sorry, I'm out ahead of myself. There we go. This afternoon, tropical storm moving in and thunderstorms developing from the Great Lakes back into Texas. And there we go, get into the evening hours, thunderstorms down into the plains, tropical storm moving up, a few showers left over Maine. And then as we get into tomorrow afternoon, we start to see plenty of showers and thunderstorms along that cold front, again into the plains as well. So that's where our severe weather threat is. And everything's kind of quieted down from the tropical system, maybe some heavy rains up into the Delmarva area, and again, scattered showers over the southeast tomorrow. And that will all diminish as we get into the overnight hours. There's that line moving through well into the overnight. It will gradually break up as we get toward morning. So that's what our severe weather threat looks like from a precipitation standpoint. Last couple things to show you here. The biggest threat for heavy rain over here in the eastern sections of North Carolina, central North Carolina, back into southern Missouri, back into Texas. Could see a couple more inches of rain down here, and then with heavy showers and storms back over into this area down the front range of the Rockies as well. Maybe over heavy rains coming in over Maine as well. So those are your areas for the heaviest rain, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain, not out of the question, particularly over here in central North Carolina with the remnants of Chantal. And that's what we've got going on weather-wise from a high temperature standpoint. We'll center this map so we can see it well. We've got desert southwest still in the hundreds out here where it is normal for this time of year. 80s all the way up here in Spokane, near 90, 80s and 90s over the southern 2/3 of the nation, really 80s up here in New England as well. And a little cooler over the northwest. It was really hot the other day, and you guys have cooled off nicely behind as the boundary has sank south a bit. And then tomorrow, just to give you a hint of what tomorrow is going to look like, similar pattern, a little bit warmer, starting to get toward 100, upper 90s out here in the western portions of the Northwest, 90s in the Intermountain West, 110 in Phoenix, down here in Dallas, 91 and 96 in Atlanta, 90s in Florida, 90s all the way up into Virginia, and then we start to get into the upper and mid 80s and cool off a bit up here in Maine where maybe see some rain, and then of course cool along the border as well. And that's your forecast for today, folks. We'll be back tomorrow with a full cold rains weather world. We'll have more IQ questions about the moon coming up this week. We'll look at the solar and space weather and geological updates, see what's going on there and see how that things are progressing up there too. So we'll take a look at your long range and we'll get all that for you tomorrow. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and hit the like button, turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon, and I'll keep you up to date on all the things that are happening weather-wise that you need to know about. That's it, folks. Have a great Sunday. We'll see you soon.